Hello there. Welcome to Sunday School again. You remember last time we continued hearing about traveling with God's family, the family of Abraham. Now we've started hearing about the next generation, Esau and Jacob, Abraham's twin grandchildren. Isaac, as you remember, was 40 years old when he married Rebekah. He was 60 years old before Jacob and Esau, their twin sons, were born. His sons had now grown to be men, 40 years old, and Isaac was 100 years old. His eyes were dim, so that he was almost blind. He was a good man who worshipped and loved God. God had appeared to him once and had blessed him, giving him the same promise that he had given to his father Abraham. Isaac had inherited great riches from his father, and he became still richer. He had possessions of flocks and possessions of herds, and a great number of servants. He was a great and mighty prince in the country. But his son Esau gave him a good deal of worry. First, he sold the birthright, as we heard last time. Then he went out and visited the heathen Hittites who lived nearby. After a while, he even married 2 Hittite wives. This was wrong. If he had children, his wives would be sure to bring them up not as believers in the one true God, but to worship idols of wood and stone. Esau had not paid much attention to the teaching of his grandfather Abraham, or he would have known that God wanted his family to keep apart from such people. Isaac, being now 100 years old and nearly blind, thought it was almost time for him to die. One day, he called his older son Esau to him. He said, "Behold, I'm old, and I don't know the day of my death. Now, I want you to do something for me. I want you to go hunting and get some meat and cook it in the way I like it. Then bring it to me to eat, and I shall give you my blessing before I die." You'll remember how Esau sold his birthright to Jacob for a bowl of soup. After the soup was eaten, he had begun to wish that he had not been so foolish and hasty as to sell him his birthright. Now he thought that perhaps his father would give him back part of the birthright when he blessed him. Perhaps his father intended to do that, for he loved Esau best. Yet it was always going to turn out differently from what they expected. Rebekah overheard Isaac speak to Esau. She loved Jacob more than Esau, and she wanted him to have the blessing instead of Esau. Rebekah overheard Isaac speak to Esau. She loved Jacob more than Esau, and she wanted him to have the blessing instead. She called Jacob and told him what she had heard his father say to Esau. "Now therefore, my son," she said, "obey my voice and do what I command you. Go to the flock and fetch me 2 good kids of the goats. I shall cook them and make them into savory meat, just like your father loves. Take it to him, and he will give the blessing to you instead of to Esau." Jacob answered, "My father's blind and cannot see, but perhaps he'll touch me. I have a smooth skin and Esau is hairy. Father will know that I'm not Esau when he touches my skin. And if father finds out that I'm deceiving him, he'll be angry, and he will curse instead of bless me." His mother said, "If he curses you, I will bear the curse instead of you. Only go and do what I've commanded you." Jacob brought the kids, and his mother cooked them just as his father liked to have meat cooked. Then Rebekah took one of Esau's best garments and told Jacob to wear it. She fastened some pieces of the kid's hairy skin on his hands and on his smooth neck, so that Jacob might deceive his blind father. So Jacob went in to his father and said, "My father, I am your older son Esau. I have done what you told me to do. Now come and eat the meat, so that you may bless me." Isaac was surprised. "How is it possible that you found the meat so quickly?" Jacob said, "Because the Lord your God brought it to me." Isaac was not quite satisfied. He was suspicious. It did not seem to him that the voice sounded like Esau's. So he said to him, "Come here so that I can touch you and see if you're truly my son Esau." Jacob came near, and his father felt his hands now covered with the hairy kid skin. He said, "The voice is Jacob's, but the hands are the hands of Esau." To settle it, he finally asked, "Are you truly my son Esau?" And Jacob answered, "I am." Isaac said, "Bring the meat to me. I shall eat of your meat so that I can bless you." Jacob brought the delicious food to his father. Poor Isaac ate and drank, thinking Esau was with him. After he'd finished, he said, "Come near and kiss me, my son." And Jacob did so. And his father smelled the smell of Esau's garment, and he said, "See, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field which Jehovah has blessed. And God give thee of the dew of heaven, and of the fatness of the earth, and plenty of grain and new wine. Let peoples serve you, and nations bow down before you. Be lord over your brothers, and let your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone that curses you, and blessed be he that blesses you." Now it happened, as soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had gone out from the presence of Isaac, that his brother Esau came in from the hunting. He had savory meat prepared too, and he brought it to his father. And he said to him, "Let my father arise and eat of my meat, that you can bless me." How startled poor Isaac was! He cried out, "Who are you then?" Esau said, "I'm Esau, your son, your firstborn." Then Isaac trembled and said, "Who was it then that brought the meat to me? And I ate it before you came, and I gave him the blessing. The blessing is his now. I cannot take it back." Esau cried out, "Oh, my father, bless me also, even me." Isaac said, "Your brother came and deceived me, and he's taken away your blessing." Esau shouted out, "He's done this twice. He took away my birthright, and now he has taken away my blessing." Again he asked bitterly, "Have you not saved a blessing for me, my father?" Isaac said, "I have made him lord over you, and I have given all his brothers to him for servants. I have promised him corn and wine. What more can I give you, my son?" Poor Esau cried, "Have you only one blessing? Bless me as well, my father." Then his father gave him a blessing too, but he could not give him as good a promise as he had given to Jacob. He said to him, "Behold, of the fatness of the earth will be your dwelling, and the dew of heaven from above. By your sword you will live, and you shall serve your brother. And it shall come to pass, when you shall break loose, that you shall shake his yoke from off your neck." These blessings that Isaac gave to his two sons were not only for Jacob and Esau, they were meant also for their descendants. They foretold what would happen to the children of Jacob and Esau and their families long after they themselves were dead. That was what made the blessings of very great importance. Although Isaac had intended to give the best blessing to Esau, and although Jacob had been wrong to deceive his old father and to cheat his brother out of his birthright, yet God was ruling all this. It was his will that Jacob should be the one who should have both the birthright and the best blessing. So Jacob afterwards became a strong and godly man, but Esau was always a weak man. After the blessing had been given to Jacob, Esau hated Jacob for cheating him. He said in his heart, "My father is an old man. Very soon he will die. Then I will kill my brother." Someone, probably one of the servants, heard Esau threaten thus and told Rebekah. And we'll hear next time what happened next.
Esau was a hairy man, Jacob he was smooth, smooth in action, smooth in speech, and oh so sly from babyhood. Esau was a hunting man, Jacob he chopped wood, built a fire, made some stew, and Esau saw that it was good. Esau was a hungry man, so from where he stood, he gave up his birthright, gave it up for Jacob's food. Esau he was gullible, Jacob he was cool, stole his brother's blessing, go read it in God's holy book. Esau was an angry man, that's when Jacob flew, ran away from Esau's wrath, what else was there for him to do?